Okay, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Cheryl. How's things in Basin?
Good morning. Everything's great.
All right, good deal. Okay, 10 o'clock. I'll go ahead and start this meeting for Tuesday, August 4th, 2020. It's 10 straight up, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation. And Mr. Dalton, you're going to do the invocation? Tim, you want to lead us in the pledge?
I'll do that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful to be able to have a meeting today. We have many things to be grateful for. We're thankful that we live in this wonderful land where governments have been set up in this democratic republic to allow us to be participants in government. And we pray for wisdom in the conduct of the governmental affairs here in our county today. We have many needs. Of course, we're in the midst of this pandemic still, and we pray for those that have been affected by it, who are sick or have lost loved ones, and for the rest to be protected, and for wisdom in the exercise of decisions by our leaders in the returning to normal life that can be done in a way that would be best in keeping with the many factors to be considered. We're in need of rain. We pray for rain, but we also pray for rain to come in such a way that it won't do too much damage in the flooding and those sorts of things. We pray for those who have been affected by unemployment through the cause of the pandemic. We pray for those involved in curtailing the protests so they are proper, peaceful, and not violent, and that our country can be at peace and rest. We pray for wisdom to descend in greater measures upon those who are in charge of our liberties and our governmental affairs and also our health care. We pray for those especially who are deciding about school and children returning back to school. These things can be done in a way that would be best for all. And we do these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay. Started 2A presentations, public recognition of 11 employees through the county spotlight on the employees program as follows: Nicole Weaver, Jerry Irish, Brittany Morrissey, Christina Knox, Chris Romiti, Brian Rogers, John Desra, Gilbert Olivares. There you go. Thank you. Johnny Holmes, Bill Hanna, and Rebecca Barrowski.
Correct.
How are you today?
Mr. Chair. Good. How are you all today?
I'm good.
Good to hear. Well, thank you for the opportunity to recognize just 11 of our employees this month. Up first, who we have is Nicole Weaver. Her spotlight nomination read, so on Friday afternoon, with about 30 minutes left on her workday, Nicole received a call regarding a new employee who did not receive his paycheck. Nikki investigated and discovered that the mailing address was incorrect, and it would take several days for this check to be returned. Rather than make the employee wait to have his check reissued, Nikki contacted her supervisor with a solution to get the check canceled and reissued before the end of the workday. Nikki took the appropriate steps to resolve the issue and assist the employee. Nikki demonstrated the values of teamwork, integrity, and accountability that set an example of outstanding customer service. Thank you for going above and beyond. Nikki, of course, is in finance, and she's been employed with the county 8 years and 7 months. And Nikki, if you want to. Up next, we have Jerry Irish. Jerry's nomination read, Even though it wasn't a county road project, Jerry notified Paul Walterbeek about the Bixby Road project, giving Paul plenty of time to notify the newspapers and radio stations. He even made the front page of both papers. Jerry included a map with a notification, which was also helpful in getting the word out to the public. Paul said Jerry was a big help on this one, and he deserves a credit for word getting out to the public. I appreciate Jerry's courtesy and professionalism. Jerry is with Public Works, and he's been employed with the county for 4 years and 8 months. And Jerry, if you want to come on up. And if you'd like to say anything. No. Thank you. All right. Up next, we have a group nomination for Brittany Morrissey, Christina Knox, Chris Remedy, Brian Rogers, John DeZera, Gilbert Olivares, and Johnny Holmes. The nomination read, my family and I wanted to thank the staff and community workers of the Gila County Fairgrounds for their tremendous support for the wedding celebration with the Young and Yurkovich families on Saturday, February 29th of 2020. While the wedding itself was one evening, the preparation was months in the making with careful and patient guidance from Brittany Morrissey. We're welcome to the facility with no hiccups and allowed to set up a date earlier than anticipated with the appropriate paperwork. We were given the freedom and flexibility to create a unique event. The staff and correction workers, led by Chris Remedy, transformed the exhibit hall into a wedding reception hall, hanging pipe and drape, setting up chairs and tables, and even setting up decorative items like tulle, lights, and a chandelier. Our out-of-town guests were able to experience the community of Globe and all the things our family loves and appreciates about the area. While you are one vendor that made our special day possible, you connected us to other community resources and allowed us to have a great and memorable wedding with your venue at the forefront. And then I was so impressed with everyone from the county that helped make my daughter's day so special. I realize that they do this every day, but the difference with the staff of the county was that they made us feel like we were important and like they were excited for our special day too. I guess I'm trying to say that it was a great customer service all around, and we appreciate how everything was handled. Keep up the great work, Gila County. And this was a letter from the public. So Brittany is with Facilities and Land Management. She's been with the county almost close to 3 years. Brittany, if you'd like to say anything. Up next, we have Christina Knox, who's also with Facilities and Land Management, and she's been with the county about 2 years and 8 months. Okay. We also have Chris Remedy, who is with Facilities as well, and he's been with the county almost 3 years. Chris?
Excuse me, I do want to say we have a great team, one of many good departments, great departments here in the county, but I really want to thank my team.
We have Brian Rogers, who's also with Facilities, and he's been with the county a little over 6 years. Brian? We have John DeZera, who's also with Facilities and has been with us a little over 9 years. John? We have Gilbert Olivares with the Sheriff's Office, who's been with us for 31 years and unable to come. We also have Johnny Holmes, who's with the Sheriff's Office, and he's been with us 18 years and 6 months and unable to come today, but thank you. Up next, we have Bill Hanna. So Bill Spotlight read, Bill received an email from a very grateful neighbor to a property that was littered with junk, garbage, and debris for his hard work and persistence in getting the property cleaned up. This email from Cheryl and Bob Taylor states, they brought in a huge roll-off, and the property on Lot 10 is cleaned up. The roll-off is full to the top. It was all your work, Mr. Hanna, and with the new fire season declared today, we are so grateful to you for all that you did to protect our property. Bill is in the Community Development Department and has been with us for 14 years. Bill?
I just want to thank the building inspector, Jim Berry. Without his help, I couldn't do a lot of things.
Okay, and up next we have Rebecca Barrowski. She is a code compliance specialist and has plenty to keep her busy each day. When I requested her assistance in reviewing the current rewrite of the Gila County zoning ordinance, she jumped at the request with no hesitation. Rebecca's input, based on her knowledge and experience, has undoubtedly improved the ordinance's content and readability. While making sure her code work is completed, she has given countless hours towards review of the rewrite and has proven to be invaluable to the team. Rebecca is also with Community Development and has been employed with us for a little over a year. And she's up in Basin today. And that does conclude this month's spotlight.
Erica, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Tommy, you want to say something?
Oh, Mr. Chair, I would. This is my very favorite part of any meeting that we have. I am so proud of these people. They are what I think of as the face of the county, and they sure make us look good. And I very much appreciate them being willing to spend what I think of as their life's energy helping us in this county for this county. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, everybody that got an award.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for everyone and what you do. And the thing of it is it's nice to hear these letters because I know you do this stuff every day. And a lot of times you don't get letters, you get other comments. And so I appreciate you hanging in and keep being the people you are for these few letters that you do get. And thank you very much for all you do.
And thank you, too. For me, it's good to see this. So, and Erica, thanks for keeping this going.
Thank you.
Good
Have a
job.
good day.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Okay, on to 2B, presentation regarding Gila County financial data as of 5/31/2020 as it compares to the fiscal year 2020 Gila County budget and fiscal year 2019 year-to-date performance. Maren?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Supervisor Humphrey, Supervisor Martin. That's a tough act to follow. I certainly don't have awards for anybody. But this is our regular monthly review. Because last month was so busy, it got pushed to August. And Mr. Menlove already gave you the feedback for year end and let you know that we finished in the black. But this data is the data that you asked us to present monthly. So we have the graph that helps everyone see where we are, where we ought to be, and where we were last year. So when we're looking at this, the blue bar to the far left of each section is the full year budget. The red bar immediately next to it is our 2020 year-to-date actual, and this was as of 5/31. The green bar is what the year-to-date target ought to be, and that should say 11 months, not 10. Everything should be at 91.67%. And the purple bar next to that is where we were a year ago. So you can see from all of these that we are pretty close to where we were a year ago for salaries and EREs. We are just a smidgen over that, and we are well below where 11 months budget would be. For operating expenses, we're at 79% of the budget, which is well below the 92%, and is also below the 83% we were at 11 months actual last year. And then our total expenditures, that's the third group of bars, just blends those first two sets. And the final set of bars all the way to the right is where our revenues are. You can see from the red bar that even in the midst of COVID, our revenues for 2020 are a smidgen ahead of where they were for 2019. And Mr. Menlove had already explained all that in his presentation. We just wanted to make sure that you had a consistent format and reporting so that going forward you have a full set of these reports for the year. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Maren. Tommy, you have any questions for Maren?
Mr. Chair, I do not. I just appreciate the work that went into putting these figures together and everybody's work that's keeping us online. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank
you, Mary.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, I have no comment other than thank you very much for presenting this once a month, because not only does it show us where we're at, but those people that tune in see where we're at and where we're going and kind of our direction as well. So appreciate it very much.
So, Maren, this is on our website in our budget, right? Or
This is on our website in today's agenda.
Okay.
There will be, when the budget book, the big budget book is ready, I believe we're set to publish that about the week of Labor Day. There won't be these bar charts, but there will be the pie charts that we presented
Okay.
with the budget. If you'd like these in there, we can certainly add them.
It might
Do
be
you
a
think
good
that'd be
idea.
helpful? Okay.
And the reason I say that, there's a lot of things going around about our budget and spending and stuff like that. What do you think, James?
Okay, we will add these bar charts. I'll make sure that it has the right label on it first, though.
Thank you, Maren.
Yeah.
Good job, though. I really appreciate you guys.
We're really, really privileged to work for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I better wipe this.
All right, moving on to number 3A, regular agenda items. Information, discussion, action to approve the use of State of Arizona Procurement Office Contract Number ADSP 017-174462-EZ with Interstate Mechanical Corporation in the amount of $515,409.92 for the replacement of the HVAC system for the Globe Jail. Chris? Good morning again.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman, Board, County Manager. I'm here to ask for approval for this project that is long overdue at the jail. The HVAC equipment, which is really non-existent, it's all evap cooling right now, has been there for over 40 years. In fact, we have one piece that has been there since the jail was built. We just use Band-Aids constantly, trying to keep this thing going. During the summer, it's hard to keep it going, keep the inmates and the staff cool. During the winter, same thing, because we have a boiler. If our boiler goes out, the total heating goes out. So it's time for us to get all this replaced. What we want to do is remove the ductwork and the units, heating and cooling units, and replace them with new AC units, gas packs. We're going to have gas heating, individual heating, and the cooling. This will make life so much better for our staff, inmates, and the people that have to keep everything running. You know, the facilities, they've done a great job, the current facilities and the previous facilities, in order to keep these 40-plus years of AC running. So I'm asking for approval for this. Any
Thank you,
questions?
Chris. Tommy, you have anything for Chris?
I just agree that I think this is long overdue, and I am so glad we're dealing with it. Chris, thanks for bringing this to us.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, just one question. James, is this part of that funding that we have worked with for the restoration of the sheriff's office and some of the buildings?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, yes, I wanted to note that this is part of the bond that we did for county improvement of facilities. So this is funding from that financing that we did. I just want to let you know that in addition to just needing to do this in general, that a long time of analysis that we looked at what the upfront costs were going to be and also the long-term costs to find the most cost-effective way of doing this in the long term. So we looked at it from all different angles to get this done and what was the best impact for Gila County at the best cost.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just wanted to, I was pretty sure that's what it was. I just wanted the public that's viewing to realize that we're not just pulling this out of general funds to do it, and it's been well thought over, and as well as the benefit we're going to get from it for the next 20 years has been thought into that as well. So thank you very much.
That was the only question I had too, so thanks for asking it, Tim. Chris, good job. And with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I do move that we approve the use of State of Arizona Procurement Office Contract number ADSPO 17-174462-EX with the Interstate Mechanical Corporation in the amount of $515,409.92.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that motion.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Great.
Thank you, Chris. 3A, information, discussion, action to approve the State of Arizona Procurement Office contract number ADSPO17-1746662-EZ with Jim Brown and Sons Roofing in the amount of $380,579.56 for the roof replacement for the Globe Jail and Women's Annex. Chris?
Yes, again, this, we're putting in new HVAC. It just is a simple thing to figure, well, we need to do roofing. This roofing also is over 40 years old. It is a spray foam roof, which constantly gives us problems. We don't know where the leaks are at. We see where the leaks come out of. We don't know where they begin. Again, in order to keep a spray foam roof going for 40 years, you know, to me that's a bit unbelievable, but it's going on. Still, it's not leak proof. We need to replace the roofs prior to doing the HVAC because we're going to have some new holes put in the roof. We've got to have some patched up. So we need to do this job right so that we don't have a problem down the line. The main jail building will be a built-up roofing, 3-ply. It's typical of what you've seen. It's granular white on there, and everything will be done. The curbs will be set. Everything is going to be waterproof. Now, as far as the women's annex, we're going to go back with the same type of roof. That roof was put on a few years ago, and by the way, I've got to mention that Bob Hickman is the person that is responsible for all this from inception to hopefully fruition. But this roof, I believe the warranty, the company that put the roof on is no longer available. There is no warranty on the roof. We do have a lot of problems with seams busting on it, and it's, again, facility nightmare to take care of that. We're going to go back on top of that roof, remove that, and put it back with a new product similar to what was there, but with a nice warranty and track record. So in order to get our HVAC done, we would like to get all of our roofing done so that we have everything buttoned up, weatherproofed.
Sounds good, Chris. Thanks. Tommy, any more questions?
Oh, I don't have a question, Mr. Chair, but I have a comment.
Okay.
This is, to me, a classic case of the unintended consequence of low bid. When we built this women's jail, these were not the people we wanted to do the roof. We didn't want folks doing a lot of stuff, but they were low bid, and at the time we had to take low bid. And it just aggravates me that 3-4 years later, they're gone, their warranty is no good, and neither was their product. But that's maybe my only soapbox for the day, Mr. Chair, but it's my soapbox right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, I just, again, that was figured into the bond money on the money that we're working with up in Basin as well as down here in the southern portion on projects that we really needed to get done. And so I think it's a great deal. I think doing away with that foam roof is a good thing because it acts like a sponge after so long, and it absorbs water rather than repels water. And so hats off to you. Really good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Chris, where does Jim Brown and Sons, are they local or where are they from?
You know, I'm going to have to refer that to Bob.
They're from out of the valley.
Okay.
They're a large firm, a lot of background, a lot of history.
Okay. I was just hoping they were local, but thanks. Yeah. Good job, you guys. We'll get this done, and that's going to be close to the end of your money for the jail, Mr. Minlove. So, anyhow, you got anything you want to say about this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. In regards to Supervisor Martin's comments of low bid, we have, of course, redone our policies with procurement and tried to look at all that we do. And one of the things that we are considering with the bids is the quality of the company and is it the best for the price. So there's a lot of other factors than just the low bid. So we're working to incorporate that so we can make wise investments with whatever dollars we do spend. And did just want to say that it's close to $1 million to invest in an old jail. And when we've considered, well, do we need to look in the long term of actually putting in a new jail? And when you look at a 300 to 400 bed jail, we're looking at easily $30 to $40 million. That is an investment that, without a huge commitment from the community, that we don't have the resources for that. So this is again, as we talked about when we did the bonds originally, that this is a good 20-year thing that we can utilize the resources we have, make them comfortable and able to function as they're supposed to. So I feel that it is a good investment at this time for the county.
Sure. So once we get this in place, Chris, is there any big looming issues with that jail?
As with any old buildings, you're going to have maintenance issues. There's nothing big and looming at this point, but not to say there won't be tomorrow.
Okay. Yes, James.
I will just add that there is going to be some other minor things like a laundry room and different things that will make it more functional. Right now, it's nearly impossible with the services that are provided inside the jail to the inmates. That we will be doing those, but they're just kind of more ongoing projects that we have.
Sure. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, James. And with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the use of the State of Arizona's Procurement Office contract number ADSP 017-174662-EZ with Jim Brown and Sons Roofing in the amount of $38,579.56.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. 3C, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 8 to an intergovernmental agreement, contract number ADHS 17-133182 with the Arizona Department of Health Services in the amount of $204,367 to enhance current public health emergency preparedness COVID-19 activities for the period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Michael, you with us?
I sure am. Can you hear me, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I know there's 3 figures in the description of this agenda item, but it's the $204,000, which is being considered by the board, and that is our annual Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant Award. We get about $200,000 to $204,000 every year. So that's what I'm here presenting and asking the board to consider to accept that $204,000 for our epidemiology program, and of course that also helps us with our COVID response team. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Michael. Tommy, do you have any questions for Michael?
No, I just want to thank him for the grant process. It is so helpful, and I appreciate that they go after every penny that they can find, and it sure helps us. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Michael.
Tim?
Thank you, Supervisor.
Yeah, just pretty much the same. It's great to have these department heads that reach out for the grants that they can get to help protect our base funding to reach for funding that's available, and so that's a great funding, and Michael, appreciate you reaching out for it, and we'll do all we can to help you.
Great. Thank you, Supervisor.
Same goes with me, Michael. Good job, and with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we do approve amendment number 8 to an intergovernmental agreement, contract number ADHS 17-133182 with the Arizona Department of Health Services in the amount of $204,367.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that motion.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay, 3D, information discussion action to approve funding agreement number 214-20 between the Arizona Department of Housing and the Gila County Community Services Department. Housing services to provide Department of Energy Weatherization Assistance Program for low-income persons, funding in the amount of $99,156 and low-income Home Energy Assistance Program funding in the amount of $131,627 to be used to provide weatherization services to eligible citizens residing in Gila County for the period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, Chairman Klein and members of the board. I'm here today to ask you to approve this funding agreement. This agreement, there's two grants in it, one from Department of Energy that comes down through the federal government, and then in addition to that, it's utility funds that come down to the state and then are processed through Department of Housing to do the weatherization services. That saves money for our low-income residents in our county. This is also the base of my housing services. With this, I can leverage other dollars, emergency repair dollars, Pinal Gila dollars, other little smaller pots of money that together I put into the homes so that we get a better job done. So, if you have any questions,
Good job, Melissa. Tommy, you have any questions for Melissa?
Just to thank her for staying on top of these. All the different little pots of money she gets a hold of and the big pots. Same story. It really helps us. Really helps this county. Thank you, Melissa, and thanks, Mr. Chair.
You bet, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, Melissa, these fundings have gone down.
what we do expect is some additional COVID dollars under the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program. We have not been cut significantly. Sometimes there's some movement at the state level as to how much Department of Housing gets and how much they give us. But so far, except for the Department of Energy dollars, and those have been cut significantly over prior to COVID over the last 5 years. So.
Well, I appreciate you do all you can with all the little grants and things that you reach for to help our less fortunate in the county. You do a great job at that and keep reaching, and so I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. You're outstanding. This is good. Keep it up. We'll just keep after it and see what else it'll give us in the future. So,
Yep.
That I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve funding agreement number 214-20 with the Arizona Department of Housing to provide Department of Energy Weatherization Assistance Program for low-income persons funding in the amount of $99,156 and low-income Home Emergency Assistance Program funding in the amount of $131,627.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you again, Melissa.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, on to E, information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 20-08-02, authorizing the disposal of a portion of Fulton Avenue, Central Avenue, and an alley in Block 11, map of South Globe, plat number 20, Gila County Records, and authorizing the Board of Supervisors Chairman to execute and deliver in the name and under the seal of the County of Gila quitclaim deeds conveying a portion of Fulton Avenue, Central Avenue, and an alley in Block 11 to Beverly Donlin, Tomerlin, and Mark A. and Roberta Schellenberger. Steve?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is the final step in the vacation of these roadways and alleys. I was before you last month, and you accepted bids from the adjoiners, Tomerlin and Schellenberger. This is just to issue the quitclaim deeds and complete the process where the property will then become theirs.
Thank you, Steve. Tommy, you got any questions for Steve?
Mr. Chair, I'm just never, it always astonishes me how many steps we have to go through to make these things happen. I'm just glad we're almost to the end. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, Steve, I just can't say enough that when we keep these roadways that have been abandoned and some of these properties that have been abandoned, that we are able to get them in a situation where people are responsible for them and they get cleaned up. That helps so much in some of the blighted areas, because some of these issues that we end up with, there's nothing we can do because of the situation of the property. So I appreciate everything we can do to get some of these alleyways and roadways that are abandoned in the hands of someone that is responsible and reliable. So thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, thanks too, Steve. That's good to get this done, finally get to the final step. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we do approve to adopt resolution number 200802 and authorize the board chairman to sign the related quitclaim deed.
And do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Steve. Motion carries. Moving on to F, information, discussion, action to approve the use of cooperative Navajo contract number B20-01-006 for the purchase and delivery of CRS-2P chip seal oil to the Pine area of Gila County for a not to exceed amount of $99,135 to be paid from HERF Highway User Revenue Funds. Steve, you're it again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We're getting ready to chip seal roads in Pine. We split Pine into two sections. We're calling this the northeast section. It's everything east of Highway 87 and north of Highway 87. There's 15 roads total. And we're planning to start September 14th. We looked at 3 different cooperative contracts, Mojave County, Pinal County, and the Navajo County. And this is the best benefit for our dollars. It's an all-inclusive price with Hawker Evans. They'll bring the spreader truck, lay the oil, and everything. Happy to answer any questions.
Tommy, you have any questions?
No, Mr. Chair, I appreciate us being able to partner with other counties to get some of this stuff done. And Steve, thank you for this. They need chip sealed, and I'm glad we're doing it. Thanks. And thanks, Mr. Chair.
You bet. Tim?
I have no comments.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. That's good to see you get started on that. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the use of cooperative Navajo contract number B2001-006 for the purchase and delivery of the CRS-2P chip seal oil to the Pine area of Gila County for a not to exceed amount of $99,135 to be paid from HERF.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thanks again, Steve.
Thank you.
G, information, discussion, action to authorize the advertisement of request for proposals number 071320 to hire a consultant in a not to exceed amount of $50,000 to perform the scope of work as outlined in Master Broadband Plan Phase 2 for the development of a detailed design, plans, and costs for a county-wide broadband network. Homero?
Good morning, Chairman and Supervisors Humphrey and Martin. Good to be back here again. This is, we're bringing for your approval a request for proposal to hire a consultant to perform additional work on the Master Broadband Plan. We call it Phase 2. And it's to include detailed network design, cost, and operational structure. We have done a lot of work with the consultant that we previously hired. We hired Entry Point for $12,000 to help us develop conceptual plans and to get us started and to move forward. And we did that actually before we knew we were going to get a grant from ACA. So we limited the amount of funds to $12,000. We're about 6 months into that contract with Entry Point. What we've learned is that as to move the idea of a strategic broadband plan, we need a lot more detailed information. And this is what this proposal is requesting, a lot more detailed information, not just in a conceptual way, but for the first mile. How are we going to connect to the exchange point in Phoenix? What's it going to cost? Do we lease? Do we build for the first mile? How do we connect the middle mile to the first mile, and what's the cost and the network design to take that middle mile from that first mile that may be provided by SRP, APS, or Sparklight, or another incumbent internet service provider? How do we connect it to the neighborhood? How do we take it to the neighborhood node? And then the last thing would be what's the network design and cost for the last mile to the home? What would that cost be? And to segregate these costs and to make them discrete components of cost for the overall plan, so that we know when we get in front of people, this is what it's going to cost. This is what it's going to cost. This is how much a grant can provide, and this is what you interested constituents would have to provide. The other thing we would be looking at is what is the operating structure. We have had a lot of discussions since we hired Entry Point, and we met with the 6 cities and towns. Many of you remember meeting with those cities and towns. They've been supporting us at our monthly meetings that we've been having. And we've talked with Sparklight, we've talked with APS, SRP, and we're going to keep talking to them. We don't have from them, here's how much it's going to cost. We have an interest from them to participate in what we're doing. And they have from us an interest to potentially use their dark fibers in their network. And actually this afternoon we have a second discussion with Sparklight, and later this week we have a discussion with the Industrial Development Authority. And we've talked with attorneys that are experts in county improvement districts and co-ops, and they've given us kind of like a brief at no cost. Let's have a telephone conversation. We've had actually 2 of them with Gus Rosenfeld. And so we're gathering this information. We need to add a lot more detail to it. And that's the whole purpose of coming to you to approve this request for proposal. In order, a strategic and detailed plan will allow Gila County to not just submit for grants, but to pursue the implementation plan. One of the things that we've learned, and I'm glad that we phased out when we hired an initial consultant, and now that we go out and hire a second consultant. By the way, we're going to be using the funds from the Arizona Commerce Authority 100% to pay for this work. This $50,000 is the grant that we got. Okay, the $12,000 for Entry Point is our share to the grant, but this gets paid 100% from the grant. The grant expires next March. We want to get this work done by December, but we have until March if we need it. But we're pushing on all fronts to move as fast as we can. It's a complicated issue. At one time, we thought, for instance, that we could take a bite of the apple all at once. I think we've stepped back, and we're realizing that we're going to have to eat the apple a bite at a time. And it's probably going to be something like, which is the most interested community in doing this? And are the subscribers, if I could call them that, are they willing to pay for that last mile? And are we able to get grants for the first and second mile? Those are the kind of things that this proposal is going to try to get us to that point. And so with that, we'd like to recommend that the board approve the advertisement for the request for proposal, not to exceed $50,000.
Thank you, Homer. Tommy, any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I'm glad that we're here with this. I think I was watching 60 Minutes. It was or Sunday morning, and they were talking about. It becomes ever more clear to me how very important this is that we do it. They were talking about how many of us really don't have access to internet or sufficient internet, and one of the reasons we don't have access is not just that it's not present, that it's not affordable. And one of the things that we've been determined to make sure that not only is it abundant and redundant and all of that jazz, but it's also affordable. I'm interested in what this bunch has to say next for the information we need. And I have to tell you, the whole COVID thing really highlights to me how far behind the 8 ball we are, and I'm sure hoping we can catch up. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, Homer, thank you very much. You know, the broadband's been a big thing, especially for rural communities, and with the consortium going with the schools and the library and Sparklight helping get some of that in. And I've worked with you when we went to the other cities and towns to talk to them about, you know, how they felt about it. And it's, you know, the attitude of let's learn all we can. And if someone's not willing to help us, maybe we can help ourselves. And I really like that attitude, and being that we have grant money to use towards that, I appreciate you being active to reach and get that grant money so that we can continue to try to take the lead on getting broadband to the rest of Gila County. It's important. I think it's the future. I think it's infrastructure. It would bring a lot, and so I appreciate you're taking great steps to reach out for things like this and to go with it as you have. Like I said, with everybody in Gila County where we met the cities and towns and things. So thank you very much. I'm behind you 100% on to keep fighting this, and I'll help any way I can.
Thank you.
Homer, you've done a lot of work on this, and there's been a lot of stuff gathered up, a lot of information. And of course, since it started, we had the approval of the just under $20 million for the schools and libraries that Sparklight receives. So that's a good plus. That's a good thing for the county. When we do this contract, Homer, and this consultant goes in there, and they're going to gather up a lot more information for us, is what I'm hearing you say. After that, is there a point in time, probably when we're going to sit down as a county and really hash this out and see what we're going to do for sure? I mean, once we get all this information, all this extra information ahead of us, I know we need it. I know the county needs it. I know if there's any way possible, we need to stay behind it and do it. Cost is always an issue for me. It always is. And this is going to be a spendy effort. And I know that we're looking at grant monies and things like that, but I would foresee that after the consulting gets done on this next contract, we should have a lot of information available to us that we don't have right now. And what I wouldn't like to see us do is step into something we can't get out of. I'd like to see that information in front of us with our heads up and our eyes open, knowing if we're going to go that route that we go on with it and not get bogged down. So that's what I would foresee after this contract. Am I correct, Homer?
Mr. Chairman and Board, yes, you make a good point. And that is, what is this trying to accomplish? What are we trying to accomplish with utilization of this grant? And it is just that, to get us to come to the board and come to the cities and towns and says, here is all the information that we gathered. Here is an implementation plan that could be possible. But it is going to take interested constituents, property owners that are interested in buying into this notion, whether we look at it, and we've looked at it three ways, the improvement district, and we're looking at it three ways because we haven't really come to a conclusion, the cooperative and the private-public partnership. And we're looking at those, which is the most feasible, which is the most attractive. In all cases, we are trying to separate the county from this operational structure and for it to be at arm's length. In an improvement district, they would be an arm's length entity. As a cooperative, they would exactly be an arm's length entity with a lot less control from the Board of Supervisors. And a public-private partnership, I haven't really explored how much arm's length we would be from them, but we're not trying to bring cost to the county with this. One of the things, one of the slides that we have in our PowerPoints that we used with the cities and towns, and actually I used it at the last meeting that we had last week to bring everybody that was at our meeting. We had a small meeting attendance last week before we had 15 folks sitting in. Last time we had about 8. But what I tell them is there's about, over the next 20 years, over $200 million is going to be spent on fiber in this county over the next 20 years. Forget the number, 27 million, something like that. But the money is there. We just need to figure out how are we going to get it so that instead of you paying $90, well, by the way, we got 180 invoices. Amy Staten helped us get 180 invoices. We shared them with Entry Point, and they dissected that in every which way you want to look at them. The internet cost for the county averages anywhere from $50 for 25 megabit per second, which is low, to $120 for something in the 100 megabit per second. And so the money's there. And the idea is to, how do we put a plan together that if you're already paying $50, how about if you pay $50 to this improvement district or to this cooperative, and you're going to get 1 gig of robust fiber to your home. And that's the idea. And we owe you some work sessions between now and December. Hopefully in late September, October, we can come to you with where we're at with what the plan starts to look like. And of course, at the end of the strategic plan, we bring something to you and share what we think could be a strategic plan. I don't know if it should be for the county or the county and the cities and towns, but we'll cross that bridge later on. But it'll be a plan for the entire county.
Well, I appreciate that, Homer, and I trust your judgment 100%. I just want to make sure our eyes are open on all angles going into this. So thank you very much. I know you've worked really hard on this and have for a while. And I know that all the meetings were good that you put on and we were well represented. I managed to be at one of them anyway. So thank you. James, did you have anything?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as you all are very well, that this is a very complicated, many-faceted issue that we have. And Mr. Vela has done a tremendous job of trying to pull things together and get things together so that we can put together a plan. As Mr. Vela has mentioned, that there is money available, particularly right now with the COVID money that has been allocated, that it's components of that is for broadband and the connectivity. But I think that as a county, we have to have a solid plan that we can take and present in order to get the grant funding to put these things in place. And with what Mr. Vela has proposed and what he's putting together will give us that plan so that we can have a definite, lay this down in front of those that make those decisions and get that money. So I'm very excited about this and the step that Mr. Vela is taking to get us there, and another step that we absolutely have to take in order to find out what we need to do. Of course, we're not going to do anything without the answers and what it's going to take in its entirety to finish such a project.
Thank you, James. Tim?
Yeah, just to throw it in, the thing of it is when you get into broadband, and as we went through some of this, what we're spending for our connectivity in rural Arizona is we're being robbed right now. I mean, our cell phones are running us $100 a month. Our internet's running us $100 a month. I mean, everybody's spending a couple $100 a month to try to be connected, and a lot of times we're not. And so, when you look at the future and you say, well, it's too good to be true. Well, the thing of it is in the future, if you can work things to where you're getting better service for $50 a month that you're spending $200 a month for right now, the money's not only there, the money's there 4 times already. It's just doing the footwork to get it all in place to where it will work, because, in rural Arizona, we're being robbed on trying to be connected. And it's all over broadband, and sooner or later we'll get it, and then they'll have to quit robbing us for the little bit of service that we do have. And so, great pursuing it, and I just wanted to throw that in because it's not going to be a burden to the people if it's done correctly. It's going to be a lot better at a lot less cost. If we can get all the pieces together, and I thank you very much for all your time. And I'm done, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
And I agree with you, Tim. I think as long as we got Homero in there putting this together and pulling all these parts together for us, I think we can do this. It just, we definitely have to have our eyes open, and thank you so much for what you're doing, Homer.
Thank
I
you
appreciate it.
for your support.
With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we do authorize the advertisement of requests for proposals number 071320 to hire a consultant in a not-to-exceed amount of $50,000 to perform the scope of work as outlined in Master Broadband Plan Phase 2.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that motion.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you again, Homer. Moving on to H, information, discussion, action to consider a sealed bid for the purchase of assessor's tax parcel number 201-06-179D, and if accepted, authorize a chairman's signature on the quitclaim deed. Marion Shepherd.
Thank you, Chairman Klein and board members. This property was deeded by the treasurer to the state of Arizona, care of the Board of Supervisors, in December 2019. However, it did not sell at the board's annual auction. The lien amount on this property is $23,500.88. Mr. Brian Jennings owns adjoining property, so we allow those who own adjoining property to submit a sealed bid to the board that is less than the lien amount. Mr. Jennings owns parcel 201-06-005E and 201-06-053F. And I do believe he was going to use it for grazing. He said there's not much else, but he got it. He said he would also provide ingress and egress. So if I may open the sealed bid.
Go ahead, Marion.
Thank you. I have a bid on parcel 201-06-179D from Brian G. Jennings in the amount of $500.
Thank you, Marion. Okay. What do you think, Tommy?
I think we ought to take it.
Well, Tim, you got anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I'm all for cleaning up these properties that are of the state, and I mean, I comment it all the time. If someone's willing to take over some of these properties and be responsible for them and get them back on the tax roll, how can you say no? I mean, this has been to a tax auction. Nobody wanted it. It's sitting there. So if somebody's willing to take the responsibility of it, how sweet it is to have another homeless piece of property, not homeless anymore.
I agree, Tim. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to accept a sealed bid in the amount of $500 from Brian Jennings for the purchase of assessor tax parcel number 201-06-179D.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Marion. Okay, moving on to number 4, consent agenda action items. Do either one of you have anything you want to talk about or remove or whatever?
I do not, Mr. Chair.
I just want to comment on 4F and G, and you know how sweet it is to have these meetings where Steve, we're getting rid of some abandoned roads and roadways for people. We just did a state property for an individual that's willing to take responsibility, and look on the consent agenda F and G, where people are purchasing these properties that weren't purchased at the bid, but they're coming in now, and parcel number 101-09-086 on F and G, property 101-07-127, and like I say, here's some more homeless, properties finding a home, and how sweet that is when we're trying to clean up blight and get things going. So that's an awful lot of property today that we put back in the hands of responsible people. And Marion, thank you very much for trying so hard and working with us on that. And that's the only comment I had, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, it's nice to get those properties back on the tax roll, so that's good. The only thing I was looking at was 4A, and apparently there was, and I don't want to remove it, but apparently there was an increase in money on that particular amendment. And so I think looking in the future, if we can, and I don't see any reason why we can't, but when we have things like this, changes that shows an increase in dollars or change in the scope of work, I think I'd personally like to see that come up as an item, as an agenda item. We get it out there so people actually have a chance to see what we're dealing with, what we're looking at, and get that out there to everybody. That would be really good. So that's the only comment I had was on that one. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda action items.
Mr. Chair, I move that we do accept consent agenda action items 4A through 4N as presented.
Mr. Chair, I will second that motion.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Call to the public. Cheryl, do we have anybody up there or whatever?
No, sir.
And do we have anything on YouTube, Kathy? Nope. Okay. So we'll move on to our updates, which would be number 6. Tommy, is there anything you want to throw in there?
Mr. Chair, all I'd like to add today is that I've complained about this before, and it never seems to last from year to year. But it's hard to do what you need to do on an election day when we're having a board meeting. And that's also going to fall in November. And I think that I think you need to ask the clerk to move that to some different day so that you and Tim are not in this same situation come November. And that's all I have to add, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, I went up and I met with Scott Basin on the Luster home and the neighborhoods up in that area. Beautiful area. There was elk lounging in the lawns up there, but there's really some beautiful homes up there. That was a nice trip. And the thing of it is I had been talking to Paul Gosor on a couple different occasions when he was when he spoke up in Basin and also in the park, and also at a dinner up there. Spoke with him about the floods that we've had with not only the Woodbury fire but the bush fire. And when we got a little bit of rain and 188 had 8 feet of sediment on it, I took it upon myself to ask Terry to email that to his assistant, Penny Pugh. And the thing of it is that day we got a comment back, and it made huge impact when you sit there and see the runoff that comes off of a fire like that when you've got a highway and there's 8 feet of sediment on it. So you can imagine how far the canyon had to fill up to put 8 feet of sediment on the road. I mean, there was more sediment on the road. You couldn't even see the loader because of the sediment on the road. And so when they got that video shot from a helicopter, it made a huge impact. And Representative Gosar wrote a great letter to NRCS and the Forest Service, and asked. And when you look at the letter, all 4 of our representatives signed that letter, and it went on to Forest Service and NRCS. And so they're fighting for us pretty hard to help us with some of this flood mitigation moving forward. And it's great just to let them know and stay with them. And a picture's worth 1,000 words. And so that may help us here. And I appreciate very much what Steve and our public works have done for the flooding events that are going to take place in Tonneau Basin, and everybody knows it when we get some rain. And so anyway, if you're curious about any of that information, I will have my Tonneau Basin meeting tonight at 5. It will be a call-in because they're still not letting me have public meetings, but we'll have a call-in, and we'll have lots of information on what we have done in that area and what we're going to do in that area. And if you would like to attend that phone call, that will be at 5 o'clock. The number is 701-802-5407. And your access code is 7878132. If you didn't get that number, you're welcome to phone my office here at the courthouse, and we'll get it to you so you can get information on what we're doing to try to help with the flood mitigation in Tonneau Basin. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Or Tim. I'm thinking about you, James. I didn't want to miss you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, a few things. We did have a call last week that Carl Melford, emergency management with the county, arranged with the Forest Service and with other parties regarding the burn scar of the bushfire to coordinate what the Forest Service is doing and those types of things. There's Mr. Velas with his staff has put together a list of things that have been accomplished, things that are going to be accomplished. He's putting it together so that it can be a public document. People can be aware of what things are going on, what things we're going to coordinate with the Forest Service and have that available to you to be able to know what's going on and what work is being done. Secondly, we've been working on an annual report for Gila County, and that is supposed to be being delivered to us this morning, and really looking forward to that. It's a publication that highlights our strategic plan as a county, that it brings forth what direction we're headed, what goals we have, what things we're going to do, and then what we're doing to accomplish those things. So I am looking forward to this annual report that will be distributed throughout the county, and so people can know the progress that we're making and the things that we are doing to help around Gila County. And so I think it's a really fantastic thing. Again, no tax dollars are used for this in printing the annual report. So we don't want to complicate that or put that into the mix, but that there is an annual report that's coming out and will be distributed. And look forward to having discussions with anybody that wants to look into that report further. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, James. Tim, that flood or that wash that washed up over 188, it did add up a lot of material really quick, and it just shows you what we're looking at probably for quite a while. You know, that could happen. So, James, I wonder if going forward after this meeting, if we shouldn't put some updates on the bushfire and our progress as to just where we are with all that out to the public when we have these meetings.
Mr. Chairman, with our board meetings?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, certainly.
You know, because I would imagine that after that flooding happened there on the highway, there was a lot of questions raised after that, I would think. I don't know who got the calls, if it was Homer or Steve or Tim or who, but I'm sure people are wanting to know just exactly what's going on and what we're doing about it. Hearing that all of our legislatures are pushing for it harder is a good thing. Yeah. You know, I mean, we can tell them all day long, but until they can see for themselves is when it really soaks in. So that's a good thing. I know Congressman Gosar's been right in there with us all along, but still, you know.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't want to say this, but I will, that our call with the Forest Service and the things that they're doing, the Bear team, myself, I was very disappointed in what the Bear team reported, that they are saying we can't do this because of COVID, that they do not really have at this point a plan. Extremely disappointing. And so it is imperative that our legislators contact the Forest Service and put whatever influence they can, because this is a real danger to people and their lives and their property. And we need to continue to push that. And so absolutely to a report of what we're doing, and if the public can assist in pushing for that with representatives, then that's all the more reason to get something done. But absolutely that there needs to be a great push to be able to get some support. This fire is not, all that public land is responsibility of the federal government, and it can destroy and impact and take lives. because of somebody else's land that we have no right to go on. We have no right to be able to go on and try to do any remediation or anything. So the federal government needs to accept responsibility for their land and take care of it so that our people are protected.
I agree. I agree with that. Tim, did you want to add anything to it?
Yeah, I just agree with James. You know, the way it's been dealt with, 400,000 acres have been burnt in my district, and we're still dealing with flooding from the Woodbury fire that we didn't get any funds on. And now we're dealing with the bushfire, which I expressed to the congressman that, you know, not only are we, you know, are still working with flood that happened, fire that happened last year and the flood that it creates, but now we've got a new fire with more flooding. And so the impact, I you know, like they say, bad things got to happen for good things to become of it. Well, that's too bad that's kind of the way it has to happen with our federal government. And so perhaps we have had enough bad that between floodings in Tonneau and floodings in the states, and now, you know, 188, we lost Highway 88 last year. We're looking at perhaps the right rain. We're going to lose 188 this year. And so hopefully there's been enough bad happen that our public will help us with our congressional leaders to help us get some funding in this area, because a lot of times people look to the county for help. Well, we don't have $10 million in flood money. You know, when we approve that budget, we put $250,000 in flood control, and that doesn't go very far. You know, so the flood control from federal fires is federal responsibility, in my opinion, and I hope that they do wake up enough to help us, and that's all.
So yes, and I think the biggest thing is we're not done. You know, we've dealt with this for 4 straight years. Every year we've dealt with it, and I think we're going to deal with this some more. It's just not going to go away, and especially in your corner down there, Tim. You know what people don't understand is that desert Sonoran type vegetation burns off. Give it 3 years and a good winter, and it grows back better, and it could burn off again. So it doesn't end, and so I think we're coming to a point where we're probably going to have to take a message to the top again, you know, and push for some different management styles on the ground, maybe, and coming from behind these fires, from behind the suppression side of it.
Patty Power was on our call with us last week with Forest Service, and so she's pushing back in D.C. to get with all the people that we need to push for support as well.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that, because especially right now, because we can't just jump on a plane and run to D.C. real easily right now. So it's really good to have her, and she knows her way around D.C. So anyway, there's a lot of work there, but if maybe in the future we could put that in our updates or something, so folks on YouTube can listen to where we're at, where we're headed, what's been done, things like that. That'd be great, and so they realize we're not done pushing by any means on any of this. So, okay, so what I'm looking at is I'm looking at a demonstration, sponsoring a demonstration for that guy in Basin that has built that portable sprinkler system. We're going to be working on putting that together, and when it happens, I'll throw the dates out. So if anybody wants to come see it, that'd be good. They can. The Hayden Motel. The demo on it is complete. I'm waiting on Steve's asphalt, but we'll get it pretty soon, I'm pretty sure. But no, we put the gravel down in there. It looks good from what I'm hearing. I can't wait to get down there and take some pictures myself and put a timeline together on that. We'll be looking at doing the ore cart monument, finishing that up, and maybe some ramadas in place, and then it's totally done. We're going to be meeting next week in Winkleman with Supervisor Rios and the Hayden and Winkleman and Kearney mayors. This has to do with the ambulance service that comes out of Kearney. That's been servicing that area down there. It sounds to me, and I don't know, where they are with dollars, but it sounds like dollars are getting tight for them, and so we're going to be, all of us, putting our heads together to see what we can come up with that, and who, if anybody, wants to take over an ambulance service, or if Kearney may even want to keep it. I don't know. So I'll have more on that coming up in the next couple of meetings or so. And other than that, I think I've got it. I think that's it. So y'all, thank you for today. It's a good meeting, and we'll do it again soon. I'll adjourn this meeting.
Tommy, good to hear from you. Take care.
Take care, Tommy.